All right, what's going on, guys? So I want to talk about something briefly that has just been an ongoing issue on this channel, but just in my life as I observe people, Christians, and how they process their own life, their Christian walk with the Lord, and specifically their theological viewpoints. And if you follow me, have been following me on this channel, I talk a lot about exhortation, prophetic words, the current times, and as a body, how to respond, and just many things in that regard, right? But one thing I try to steer away from is the traditional sort of theological viewpoints, exegesis of the Bible, and straight theological concepts that many people have just been encouraging me to do more of, talk more about the Bible and the gospel and this and that. And of course, that's important, right? But my calling and my gifting is not in that area. And many of you guys that are following me, you have been studying a lot of these things. You may have a PhD in MDiv, whatever you want to call it. You may know your Latin, your Greek, your Hebrew, your historical context, and you know all of that. And I'm not here to argue with people on that. I feel like I'm also in a place where I have a solid understanding, but I'm also humbling myself to say, man, I'm learning, I'm growing in this area. And for the rest of my life, quite frankly, I will be a student of the Word. I will be a student of historical context, of just all these different cross-references, right? Of knowing the Latin, the Greek, the Hebrew, the root of this and that, and whatever background information you have to know about a certain topic. And the reason I bring this up is because every time I put up a seemingly even just harmless video, Merry Christmas, Happy Easter, and many other things, right? I get a lot of people that will message me or talk about, the correct theological view of this or some context and all of that, right? And I understand. I hear you. I'm part of that group in the sense that I wish that I could speak about something for 4 hours. I wish that I have a lot of Bible knowledge to really clarify things. A lot of people, and the reason I bring this up is because you got people that simply have a just honest and open view of, hey, it's just Easter, we're celebrating, Christ's death and resurrection. Other people are very, historical sticklers about things, and I don't say that in any mean way. And the reason I say that is because it's some of these terms like Easter, December 25th, and many things. It's not clearly stated in the Bible. Like the Bible doesn't say that we need to have church on Sunday, and you have the issue of Saturday versus Sunday. You have the issue of the Hebrew day and night, starting in the evening, sunset to sundown to sundown. You have the issue of when did Jesus actually, was he born? Was it the 25th? I mean, what are these things that are arbitrary things based on the Gregorian calendar, leap years added, and many things that have been changed from the influence of Catholicism, the Eastern Orthodox Church, and many other groups that have basically, and even with Bible translations and things like that, you got people, and I'm all in that camp too of King James Version. The last time I read the full Bible this past year straight through was in the King James Version. I want to go only to that. And, I find myself reading the New King James Version to you guys. Other people read other, Bible translations and things like that. And so you have all these different basically issues, right? Of, if you want to be a straight purist, right? I don't know what the word is, but a true altruistic, kind of thing, right? And you don't want to be tainted. You don't want to have defilement and things like that. So I hear you. I get that. And, people will always argue about some of these things and nitpick at it. And I see where you're at, and I'm with you on that. If anything, I wish that we have the right translation. I wish that we were on the right calendar, that we weren't influenced by the Gregorian and this and that and all the English, Old English, Victorian influence that we've had for such a long time. But the fact is that we have these events, these translations, these dates, and all these different things. And if you were to ask me, right, it's the spirit behind that. It's your heart behind that, as opposed to having sort of I don't even want to say pharisaical or legalistic, because it's true, right? Some of these things are true, and it's good to be aware of it. It's good to have the right teaching. You don't want to grow up in false teaching. You don't want to go down a path thinking that you were taught one thing and because culture told you. even with the issue of denominations. Denominations are not in the Bible, right? But people are so aligned to this group or that group. And, Paul talks about sectarianism and things like that. But the fact is, we live in a time where a lot of us were surrounded by the cultural norm of dates, of translations, of languages. And you will have these things that kind of slip through the cracks, right? And it's tough. And I hear people, I know that everyone has debates and just says, hey, you need to have a focus on the purest form of XYZ, as opposed to, going with the norm of the church, right? And everybody saying that they're Christian, but they don't have a true view of things. And so I get that point. I see you guys. I see many of you guys that are following me. You are well versed in that. And so the reason I say that is because I don't want to spend videos just clarifying things. You could study. The Bible says, study yourself approved unto God, right? And that requires that you wrestle with it yourself. And a problem I have on this channel oftentimes is that people agree and they talk with me and align with me on things, but immediately when I say something like, hey, happy Good Friday, people will say, you can't say happy Good Friday. And you're going with the norm of this, culture that has basically polluted, diluted, or disoriented the view of this and that. And good, happy Easter. Like Easter's not even, you have all these different things, right? And so I'm not mocking or belittling that. I get you. But the reason I don't talk about that is because you can wrestle with that yourself. You can go down a huge rabbit hole, hours and hours of theological debates and discussion. And that's not my calling. That's not my area. But I still have people that are super just all schools of thought following me. They are encouraged by the word, but the moment I do some things like say Merry Christmas, or I talk about a certain thing, they'll cancel me and they're out, right? And so there's such a strong, I feel like the spirit of, I guess, religion, even the spirit of just lack of grace, maybe. And being able to have unity in the body requires that, we need to be able to teach each other. We have to correct each other. We have to educate each other. We need to study the word, right? Read the word ourselves and have all these perspectives, wrestle with it, have town halls and debates and things like that. But at the same time, you don't have to cancel. You don't have to look down on. You don't have to not celebrate certain things because it's wrong, right? And so if you were to ask me, right, if you were to read the ESV or the NLT versions of the Bible as opposed to the King James Version, right? If you read that versus somebody reading Harry Potter, I would want someone to read the ESV version as opposed to, which is, if you want to argue, tainted or doesn't have the right translation and things like that, over something else that's not good. And I know I'm going to get some flack for this, but the same goes for Easter, Merry Christmas, and these holidays, right? That really aren't necessarily, in the Bible that we should celebrate this and that, and it's on a Sunday and all that. It's on the 25th day. And all these different issues, but the fact is, it's still giving attention to God. It's still giving attention to Christ. It's still reminding people of the overall message. And so I think there's a balancing act we need to have to be able to outright cancel somebody, to be able to outright never listen to and look at somebody eye to eye ever again because there's such a strict, theological viewpoint. I get that. And I'm not ignorant in any big ticket issue. I've been exposed. I know enough where if you were to present it in front of me, I would probably understand, okay, I know the original meaning of that, but I'm still growing. I'm still, studying myself to show myself approved. And so it's going to be a lifelong battle. And so I know many of you guys, you are always going to be far ahead of your Greek and your Hebrew and your historical context and all these different things. And I won't ever get there, quite frankly, because just like how somebody studies, engineering, somebody studies physics or rocket science or whatever it is, those guys are deep. Now they spend hours and hours a day doing those things. And for someone to spend time to do that, you're not going to get to the same place. Same with learning a language. I'm just not going to learn a certain language because I'm not studying it. So same with many of you guys. You're going to continue learning and getting your context and your biblical canon and all the deep stuff. And I get that, but that's a gifting. A lot of you guys are gifted in that. But I target other things, target your heart condition, right? Your outlook on life, your perspective and your perception of reality. I challenge your thinking. I do many other things, right, that are part of the body. But one thing that I'm cautious of, that I'm trying not to, get into as much, though it's important, right? It's important to know that God or Jesus died, 3 days, 3 nights. Discussions about, it's a Friday and then a Sunday, things like that. Many issues like that have come and gone enough to where people have canceled, stopped listening to me, and I lose followers, all the time. I gain followers all the time, but it's surprising to me how many people stop listening at a point where I thought it was not a problem to just simply say Happy Easter and things like that. And so, again, I'm saying this in some sense just to share my heart and rant in some sense, but just to tell you guys that I think it's okay. I know I see both sides, but we need to be unified. We have to grow. If it were me, I would love to get rid of the entire Gregorian calendar system and revert back to the Hebrew calendar. I would love to just have one version. I would love to have all of us be fluent in Greek or, Latin or Hebrew and all these different things and just read the original Bible, right? But we don't have that, right? We don't have that in this time. We have to deal with different languages, different types of people, different timelines, things like that. And so if it's there and you can see the heart behind it, heart behind what I say, the heart behind some of these movements, I don't want to say movements, but the dates and all the cultural norms we have today around Christianity, I would say let's embrace it. But at the same time, if it warrants, if it's demonic, obviously, and just things that are not good, we need to fix that. And so I'm not saying we should have kumbaya with all the denominations and all the false teachings. We need to correct that. We have to fix that. But for certain things, we have to be able to be in a place where we can accept it, have unity, and just move forward, guys. And so it's a tough topic, guys. My heart is torn. I'm divided in many ways when I talk about these things, but it is what it is, guys. And so, forgive me, guys. Hope you can see past it and that we can see each other eye to eye and really learn from each other and just keep growing, guys. We have to be sanctified. We have to grow and be more Christ-like. So again, guys, it's a great weekend. It should always be this kind of a weekend when you're reflecting on Christ and what he did for us. But I love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.